Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 245 of Kouryer podcast. Our today's guest is Mr. Alexander Sheynin. He's a senior hardsurface artist at Crytek based in Frankfurt, Germany. And of course, before getting to the questions of the podcast, let me quickly mention that in the for contact section of the captions, you can find the ID to his Instagram account, the link to his art station, and also a link to an 80 level article, which actually is it the 80 level? I'm actually not sure. It's 80 LV level. I don't know. But basically, an article which he has a breakdown of one of his assets, which actually you might see in the demo reel above us if you're watching on YouTube. There's a sort of shotgun, which, you can see the breakdown of it, which we'll talk. I have some couple of questions ready for that as well. And with that out of the way, how are we doing today?
I'm fine. Very good, I guess.
All right. Yeah. And all right, so what do you say? Let's start with the first signature question of the podcast, which is give us a little introduction on how we got into the world of visual arts and design. Like basically tell us your origin story, what led you to become an artist,
Okay, I have. I always had a passion in video games since I was a kid, and had my first NES. Games at the age of about, I guess, 8 or 9, when I got my first PC, I was charmed by such games as Tomb Raider and what was there? Oh yeah, it was Prince of Persia 3D. I loved it very much. So I was interested in how it was, how does it work, who is working on it, and at the moment I couldn't find anything except 3ds Max. I had to go to the market, a real market in the street. There people were selling at that moment. It was late 90s. CDs, these games. So I found some books, some book of tutorials for 3ds Max. At the moment, it was the third version, and tried to do something on my PC at that time, but I stuck doing a terrain. It was very bad books because they were translated to Russian. So every name inside a program was translated, and it was hard for you to understand what is here and there to compare and what you should to click on. So I get rid of this, and for years I finished school. When I went to the university, and when I was accepted for a master degree in economics, I had a lot of free time. So I will think about what's if I learn some tutorials in my spare time from YouTube and other sources. Because in university I was doing, and in the high school I was doing similar, the Photoshop, and worked for several months as a how would say in a Photoshop I worked in the Photoshop I was doing collages and some images for musical bands. So I begin with learning 3ds Max from zero at the age of, I guess, maybe 26 or 27, and I felt that I can do some models for stocks like TurboSquid and so on. So after that, I get rid of my jobs. At that time, I was working in the university, and I was a bank auditor. So I switched to not so how would say so important jobs, so I can spend more time on doing 3D stuff and learning from tutorials. And I began to earn some money from selling my models for some customers. So I was doing just simply modeling, no texturing, nothing at all. This gives me the money for buying a new PC because I had a very, very bad PC. And when I get the graphics card, I turned into game art. So the thing was the same. I was doing models, but now I could texture them. And very soon I got a proposal to join Decagon. I guess, yeah, Decagon was the first one. At that time, it was like a collab system. So we were doing several assets for the Unreal Marketplace instead of doing everyday regular job. I did some weapons, I guess, were still in my portfolio on a station. And after that, we have a talk with Clinton, the head of Decagon. So I decided to stay for the full time in it. And that's how I got my first full-time job in game development industry.
That's really interesting. When you mentioned Tomb Raider and Prince of Persia, like those 3D era games, like I was just thinking about this. Don't you kind of think like there's two things? The way they were so, I don't know, they had this kind of mystique and a strange feeling to them. Those type of games, like, you know, when you played them, that games today don't have it. Is it because we were younger, or is it because we didn't have so many reference points of different games at the time, so that was the only thing we had?
I understand what you're asking for. I think it is because the modern possibilities of graphics and the older one, because in the beginning of 19th, the developers didn't have so much flexibility in doing graphics and visual stuff in games, so they rely on gameplay to sell your game. Literally created from blocks, like you remember Tanks for NES or any other NES project, and the Prince of Persia, of course, too. It's simple pixel graphics, and they can't sell it like this. They rely on gameplay, I think, more. That's why, for example, for Tomb Raider, if you even that time, I remember when I launched the first chapter, which was originally published, I guess, in 1996. Even in the beginning of the 2000, it was old in graphics, but it was so good in gameplay. It was interesting to explore. That feeling was the great. The interest of exploring the environment in games, because of the shit graphics, you never knew what is happening under the wall. So like secrets in old boomer shooters like Serious Sam, this tile and texture, whole wall, but in some certain point, there is a secret door. You can go and find another level or something like this. So it makes a player be interested in the world where he is. And modern games, I think they miss that feeling. The feeling of exploration, because you have a map. Even if you don't, you understand how it works. For example, Uncharted 4, when you walk, but you understand that you can't jump on the hill and look what is happening there, because there is a blocker, it's collider, and you have even if it looks like an open environment, it is closed. It is the corridor, actually. And every interactional object in game is, that very popular feature, like when you are climbing in Uncharted on Tomb Raider, you have highlighted stones or ladders with which you can interact. So when you see it, you understand, okay, I need to go this way. But for example, if you launch Tomb Raider 4, I guess, there was a cool level In Egypt, where Lara was climbing on the pyramid, and the thing was some blocks are way too narrow, and she can step only these blocks, jump only these blocks. So it's kind of guessing. Can I stay here or I cannot? And this is the thing, the exploration of the world. And in modern Tomb Raider, I just see the wall, I just see the white paint markers, where should I jump, and what's the interest? I see where I am, and I see where I need to go and how I need to go. What's the interest of playing the game if I already knew what would happen, right? So, yeah, I'm thinking of it like this. It's
Yeah, I
not,
think.
yeah.
Yes, sorry, go on.
Yeah. I said enough.
All right. Yeah, actually, you're kind of right. Exploration is the keyword here. Because like you actually made some really good examples as well. Serious Sam 1, like the first
Yeah.
encounter, which you end up in the like a temple in Egypt. Like just that level alone had so many secrets. I don't know if you remember. Like there was a secret developer
I played
room.
a few months ago it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I decided to compare the last series Sam and the first one, so I got back.
Yeah. Do you
Also,
remember? Yeah, sorry.
I wanted to add that those games were also very cool in terms of showing beautiful worlds. Because nowadays, even it most pushed to post-apocalypse look, like Last of Us, like Days, or almost every second game is kind of post-apocalyptic. And if you remember games like Tomb Raider, like Serious Sam, like even Unreal Tournament, or maybe Quake, they have exaggerated worlds which are not, Rusty. They are more fantasy. They have a real world reference. For example, as well as Serious Sam, the first level, it's Hatshepsut Temple in Egypt. But it takes you into some fairy tale. And modern games are trying to take you into real. Maybe that's also make sense why all the games feels different to the modern compared to the modern games.
That could be it, but honestly, like with the Serious Sam, as I mentioned, the first like there's so many secrets, there's so many secret weapons areas just in one first level, and when
I guess
you know,
8.
yeah, when you know that the exploration is rewarded as a kid, for me that was super attractive. Like to the point that when I clearly remember I would run around my house and I was like, there was a little brick pattern in our yard, and I was like, if I destroy that, there could be like my childlike imagination was flaring up, like even if there was a Harry Potter game that had so many secret areas. Yeah, you're right. We don't have too much secret areas and exploration. Like everything has to be played safe. Like everything has to be showed with a huge red flash to go here, do this. It doesn't like, and of course, I know how it is. They're trying to play it as safe as possible, so they would get as many customers as possible. Like they try to play it safe, basically, with everything.
Yeah.
And because of course they want to, everything is numbers now, which makes sense. We live in a capitalistic world, right? But at some point, like if you look at it in a way, like look at Baldur's Gate, for example. No microtransaction. They did it the classic way, and it's like one of the most highly anticipated, highly rated like PC games of all time right now. And why? Because they literally did what gamers would want.
Yeah.
And it's so rare when this happens. Like there was this guy who made a thread. It was an indie game developer who was like, I was in a pitch meeting. I was supposed to pitch my indie game to sponsors, and he was like, I literally kid you guys not, in the tweet. 2 guys just sat down and looked at me and said, all right, we want you to make us the next Stardew Valley. And they really don't understand it. They just see numbers. They just saw Stardew Valley sold over 10 million copies, and they're like, oh, we need to make a like something like that. That makes money. Money's good. That's just how their brain works. And it baffles me. because there's so many IPs coming out in movies and entertainment with a lot of budgets, like unbelievably like high budgets, but they're flops. All the fans hate them, but I don't know why. When they can like hire actual people who love the genre and like make something good, why goes for something low hanging fruit? Like it just like, I'm not trying to be like sounds naive, but I actually don't understand this, because isn't it money they want?
I guess the whole industry transformed into some sort of how would say conveyor, I guess, when you just have a predictable result. Same goes into movies. Same goes into a game industry, because we have sequels, we have prequels, we gave the green light only to the things which already have a fan base. So we have a predictable result, and not so much to the original projects. I think there was a time when I was thinking about that indie development industry would grow up as a opposition to the main, because people would become tired of similar games and move to some indie. But no, people still stick to big names. And I think this is not very good, but we'll see the time what would it lead to, how the industry would develop. And such games as Baldur's Gate gave me a hope to the whole industry that it's not the only one straight line of development. It can be interesting and even more, even if it's not so predictable within the within the income from it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many changes that's got to happen. Like, I mean, it's happening with the writers' union is striking in America. I think that a lot of series are on halt right now because of like once you if you're someone who's worked with a studio before, or just by a studio I mean like not necessarily an art studio. I mean, of course, right now working at Crytek, but just I don't know, an institution, not necessarily an art studio, like just a corporate institution. That's what I'm trying to say. Usually you would know, like, it's not a secret that they like the salaries that everyone gets is usually the lowest possible salary they could give.
Yeah, sure.
But sometimes it's outrageous, like with the writers thing, like, or now with especially with the whole AI thing going on, which of course I'm not going into that subject because it is, but there's still hope, I think, because with the unions that are happening, and also with the IPs, like for example the Spider-Man animated like movies, those animations. Yeah, it's just hope that creativity will always have a room. And yeah, I think there's hope. Even with Baldur's Gate, I really liked it. What I'm really worried about is a Starfield. Actually, I don't know. Are you looking forward to that?
No, I guess at the moment I don't wait for any. I was waiting for Dead Space remake, and it was very great, but I guess not very good of bringing money to the ear. Let's see what happens next, because as always, we announced that they have a great plans for the Dead Space future. Again, the talks about the film upcoming, again about the second part, but. On the other hand, we have that original project from Glenn Schofield, Callisto Protocol, which was not very good. So this is the other hand of modern games. Even if the project is original or trying to do different from the modern day projects, it is not very popular. Could be not very popular. So let's hope of more games like Baldur's Gate being in development and have a success.
Yeah. Have you seen? Are you hyped for Mortal Kombat 1 though?
No. I don't like fightings.
Oh, like I mean, I'm not really a huge fighting fan, but Mortal Kombat is special for me. Like especially if you look at like the new trailers of the game, the game looks amazing. Like, I'm not talking about graphics, by the way. Just in general, like oh god, like gaming has a good future. Honestly, like I know it sounds dystopian, but there's good stuff coming on. And yeah, let's actually go to another topic, and which is what is your main branch of design that you're focusing on, and tell us about your experience from the start of it until now. Of course, in the introduction, I mentioned that you're a hard surface artist, but basically, you kind of the previous subjects or question, you kind of explained how you started, but now I want to know what led you to become a hard surface artist, and you got into this. Why not characters? Why not animation? Like I want to know the extension of your roadmap and journey. How till now, by the way, like
not characters, because doing characters requires some painting experience, which I don't have much. So when I began, props were the most understandable and a quick way to get into the industry. So I begin with them and with weapons, but doing day by day weapons, I guess, not very interesting, because most of them are just metal and stuff. I mean, you won't have the flexibility of doing different art shapes. Weapon requires more realistic style. Most of the customers want them. And the props give you the ability of exploring different materials, different shapes, from some simple things to the complex ones. For example, if you have been doing a rock, have been texturing a rock, it is very interesting, because even with such a thing, you begin to learn the form, the shape, how the shapes are distributed, even your one single asset. The principles of distributing details on it, and the same principles are going into all the art stuff. So you begin with the composition within your asset. So when you have weapons, you have more flexibility. You have all this knowledge, and you use this knowledge when, for example, you are concepting a weapon, where to place some things. First of all, they should work, but the second thing, they should attract your view. So the principles that you was having on the props, you accept them to another things. Also, you grow and accept all your knowledge to the next step, and go on and go on. So what I was thinking about is to learn to become an environment artist, but not so much time. So I keep working on myself within the props and weapon field. That's all.
all right. And how does your design process usually go anytime you want to start working on a new project? Like basically, what does the structure of your pipeline look like whenever you want to work on a new piece?
Well, it depends on each project, because different projects require different pipelines. Well, let's take, for example, a weapon I was working on not so long time ago. So I did a concept for the beginning. Uh, made a research of in real life weapon, how it looks like, how does it interacts, because for the weapons you might need to have them being split to have to have different attachment system and so on. So it's kind of being it's kind of understand how the things work. When you understand how does it interacts, you begin to doing concept and stuff, like colors, like shapes, like points of interest, and so on. Then the concept is ready. You bring it to life. You make a 3D. And all this regular stuff like blockout to test the animators when you jump to high poly, low poly, workflow, texturing, and so on. It depends, of course, of what is it weapon. Would it be a character weapon, or would it be a simple prop, hero prop or not hero prop, and so on. So what important is to say here is, first of all, you should understand the purpose of the asset you are working on, because not every asset requires all your how would say all your high experience. Some things should be done quicker. Some things should be done less attractive when you want them to do more uniform. It goes from project to project in different ways.
All right. And who are some of your favorite artists and designers that have inspired you the most?
Oh, I guess a lot of from my ArtStation like list. Well, in hard surface, one of your previous artist, Daniel Kenton, is very good. Also, I like. Let me check. His nickname is Refuser. Alexei, I don't remember his surname. But he is a great hard surface artist. So you can check his portfolio on ArtStation. He is doing very, very complex Boolean hard surface stuff. Very cool. So when it comes to sci-fi, he is, I guess, number one inspiration for me. Also, Vitaly Bulgarov. Who's next? I have many people in link in ArtStation like section. There I save the ones who attract me most and who I will going to repeat in my work. So like a reference. So I don't stick to any certain artist. I enjoy to to take a little from everyone.
All right, sounds smart. And all right, now speaking of like ArtStation and all of that stuff, what are some of your best advices and tips you have for a good portfolio and resume for an artist who maybe wants to get in the same position that you working as? Like, what are the most important things that you could give someone that will increase their chances of getting hired and stand out?
Mm-hmm. There are two things with their portfolio. The first thing is for the newbies. When you're a newbie and you are trying to get your first job, first of all, you should understand what you are waiting for, because, for example, ArtStation, I guess, in the last year or maybe two is not so popular with receiving an offer from HRs or studios. I see it is more often happening on LinkedIn. So it's two different ways of how to establish your portfolio. For ArtStation, usually people say that make one or two works which are good and show all your skills. In certain ways it works, in certain ways it not. Why it so happens? Usually you should understand who would make an offer for you. If it is an HR is usually don't understand what you are doing. He looks at the quality of your work. So it should look very good. You should always compare your work to what the other artists have to receive a job from HR if you are accepting this way. If you are waiting for an offer from someone who looks to your portfolio but don't understand how the things work in your 3D art. Also, there's another way which is used by veterans and well-known people because when you work in a studio, especially if it is a studio project and you don't have any other opportunities, you don't have anything to bring to your portfolio because they are under NDA. So many people use so-called closed portfolio, which is shown only for their studio workers, not HR, but your future colleagues. So you can talk directly of what you are doing, of technical aspects of your work. And this could show not the most beautiful pictures what you have done and put into your ArtStation, but maybe a process, because when you have an interview with a team, maybe you have a very good, very beautiful art in your portfolio, but what is it has been done within a year or two. And when you are accepted for a studio position, people should also know how soon can you do several things. If you do good, it's like a way of like concept artist work. We don't need to bring all the details, polish all the stuff. We just need to show the mood and good forms in a small amount of time. So the second way, when you are applying for a position, requires you to show how good you are, not for doing, but for everyday work. So, what can I say for the newbies? Spend some money and buy a Pro or the Plus account, because with this you will get you will be shown on the main page more. And it is very important for the beginning, because much people and HR and studios will subscribe to your page. So you have more chances to get in a job even from the start. If you are not doing this, you have less shown ups on the main page. So less people would know you. And the whole industry also works like everyone known each other. So there might be a chance then a guy from a studio will talk to his HR. Or I saw that guy on that station. Let's call him and give him an offer. That's why it's important. It is important to have as much shown ups as you can in the beginning. When you are in the industry for a certain years, it is not very important. So you can find a lot of artists that don't update their portfolio for years and don't have much subscribers, but they also always have a good positions in different studios. Uh, and another advice for the newbies: work every day on your skills. Try to push up your limits and make a research. How do the concept artists works? How animators works? So the people with whom you would interact in a game studio or in other studio, because it is on outsource. It's simple. You are working like it's you are working independent. You know everything from A to Z, and these are your responsibilities. But when you are working in a game studio with people with whom you should interact, not from time to time, but every day, you should understand how do they work to have a faster result.
Yeah, and I just checked, by the way, like LinkedIn Premium, and oh my god, it's $40 a month for a newbie. Like for a normal person who wants, to change jobs, I guess that's a good price. But for a newbie, yeah, you have to start saving if you want to. If you're listening and you're a newbie and you want to invest,
Another advice I can give to newbie artists is to use stocks. I mean, to sell models, like I was talking in the beginning of this interview. You should do it like, for example, you are watching a tutorial of doing a gun. You repeat it. You have done this gun. The next step, you should use this knowledge to create your own one. So you do your own gun based by the knowledge you receive from this tutorial. You push it to your portfolio, and also you push it to the marketplace. Push the lowest value. Don't wait that it would sell for $100 or something like this. Just name it as an education for the educational purposes, but as much people would subscribe to your page, the chance of selling this asset, even it is not good, is rise up. So for a station, I guess we have $80 or something like this for the pro subscription, and a little bit less. This is for a year, so I guess selling some stuff for a low value of money is worth it, and you can spend the money you receive for paying for a station, or maybe even if you receive enough for paying for your licenses. Try to push maximum from what you are doing.
All right. And well, we talked so much about like art subject and careers and entertainment. Although now I want to ask you something else. What area beside the area you're working on in right now, which is of course art related, would you be interested to explore and learn in the future? Like basically, what other non-art related things you got going on in life?
Well, at the moment, not so much, because I travel between countries. There was a time when I was doing music, but it was a long time ago. Nothing except traveling, I guess.
All right. And well, with that out of the way, we've reached the final question section of the podcast, which is called Time Capsule. So basically, let me say it like this. If you could summarize the essence of your whole life experience in a couple of sentences, in forms of couple of sentences of advice or tips or anything to anyone who might be listening to this podcast at any point of time in future, like, what are some of your most important lessons you've learned in life? Like, that's the way to say it.
I guess it's time management. You should split your time between doing your work, relax, of course, and learning, because these are three main things which are pushing you forward, and all they are important. If you don't relax well, you can't work well, and as well, also you can't learn things. If you work all the time and only relax, you don't have much time for learning, that makes your chances for the career growth lost. So I remember I was watching several podcasts with artists like Bulgarov or maybe even Mike Nash. There are people who were describing their some sort of techniques. How should you split your time, like in percent or something like this? I'm not sure if it works for everyone, but what should you understand? You should, build your working schedule, working rest schedule, the way it give you the best results. So pay attention, not to stick into things, to have a growth of your skills, and that would bring the results very soon.
All right. And well, that's about it. Thanks so much for coming by for this episode. And thank you to anyone who tuned in and listened. Where can people contact you if they had any questions? Is their Instagram account okay for contact?
Oh, you can write me via Discord, via email, via AdStation, anyhow, as it is preferable to you.
All right. Awesome. And with that being said, again, thank you so much for coming by. And thank you to anyone
Thanks
who
for
listened.
having me.
My pleasure. As always, if there's any comments, suggestions, or critiques, you can leave them down in the comment section down below. I'll always read them all. You can shoot me a message on the Kouryer podcast Instagram page, I guess. And with that being said, take care, everyone. Stay safe. And until next episode, bye-bye.
Bye.